Now the dust has somewhat settled on what transpired on Saturday against Tottenham. I think it's right to sort of talk about Lopetegui and see where we are with him, really. And because obviously that result has now ramped up the pressure once again and just raised those questions about whether he actually is the right man to be leading West Ham and be the head coach. Because let's be honest, the signs aren't good. They're just not good. They haven't been good for quite some time. And well, after results like that, and you can go back to the previous video I did when I was talking about it just after the 4-1 loss. Your emotions are high, aren't they? You're really angry, and it's the same when you win or whatever it can be. You can get very upset or joyous, and you know, I don't know about you, but I can get carried away. I've got that way of, especially when winning. I feel like, we win a couple of games, I think we're going to win the league. So when we lose like we do, it's right to get really angry, and it's typical that you're going to say things like, "Oh, just sack the manager, just sack the manager." That's all that needs to happen. And I did feel that way. I've got to be honest. I don't think I said it much in the video. I don't think I said that at all, really. I didn't want to start shouting about sacking managers, but it sort of sat with me quite a bit over the weekend. And I was going to do a video yesterday on it, but I was still too really annoyed. I'm so upset and angry about what had transpired in terms of our second half performance, especially, that I thought I just want to kind of let the dust settle down a bit more and just think about it, and not get too caught up in the anger side of it, and let that get cloud kind of my thinking. But it's not really going away. The doubts about Lopetegui are just there for me. And it's more than just the results. If I used to get a lot of criticism on this channel from a fair few people to say that I was a Moyes backer, that I was always standing by Moyes, whatever which I'm not. I wasn't. I wanted to see change at West Ham, but what I tend to do is I try my best to sort of stand back and look at the bigger picture and think, well, is it really that bad? And that's what I'm trying to do with Lopetegui. So even when David Moyes' days were pretty bad, and don't get me wrong, I've done a few videos where I'd said I think his days are numbered, etc. But overall, I was never really one for keep calling for a manager to be replaced after a defeat or whatever. I tried my best to sort of go, look, I know emotions are high, but sacking a manager isn't the answer to everything. And so I'll try to be mindful of that when talking about Lopetegui, whether it's the right decision, whether that is emotions taking over. I don't feel like, don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here today feeling like I want West Ham to sack the manager, but there's a part of me feeling already that if they did, I wouldn't be disappointed, which is a bit sad to say, considering the fact, considering all the change we've just gone through and brought him in, etc. And the anticipation that we're going to do well, like looking forward to it. It's just been bleak. The whole tenure so far of Lopetegui's just been such a miserable experience. I've not enjoyed any of it. Really haven't. I didn't enjoy. Pre-season was crap. Absolute crap. Performances were awful. Games, we got beaten. I haven't got the scores in front of me. I'm just talking here purely from off my chest here, Performances were poor. I remember Dagenham and Redbridge 1-0, we won. Didn't even play well in that. But again, it's only pre-season. But if we're going to talk about Lopetegui's time, which by the way is 5 months. 5 months he's been at West Ham in charge. 5 months is a long time. And the way I'm doing it, right, is, and this is how I kind of thought about this today, was that if you're at a job, if like our walk of life, a normal job, a normal day-to-day, 9 to 5, whatever job, right? And you, whatever level it is, whatever you're doing, you have a probation period, wouldn't you? Let's just call it 3 months, just for this video. And if you're going to sit down and you're going to review that person at the end of their 3-month probationary period, and you're going to ask them, how are things going, and etc., etc. You're going to analyze their performance. Now, what I'm thinking of that is, you wouldn't expect necessarily, right, that person within that 3 months to be absolutely smashing it 100%. There's probably going to be areas that you're going to suggest that need improving upon, whether it be communication or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. you know, you need to learn this computer system better and you need to do this a bit better or whatever. But ultimately, for them to pull the plug on you to say, no, we're not going to keep you on, usually they just can see it's not going to work out. It's not going to work. You know, it's not a good fit. I'm starting to feel that way about Lopetegui, that it's not a good fit. Because if I was sitting down in front of Lopetegui now, let's just say we're the West Ham Bald, all right? We're sitting down in front of Lopetegui. What can you honestly say would be your positives? If you're going to say, look, we've got these negatives here, the results haven't been very good, we're near the bottom of the league. You know, these are the clear fundamental negatives. We've had heavy defeats. We've lost to our London derbies. Now we've lost, embarrassed the club. Fans are getting angry. Style of football hasn't been great. It goes on and on and on. Kudus, clearly unhappy. All these things. Where's the positives? Because if you could draw some positives out, you might say, well, okay, yes, things haven't been great. However, there is reason to have optimism. I'm struggling. I'm really, really struggling to honestly say some positives. If you can think of any that I'm missing, I'd like to know them, because I'm genuinely struggling. And just before I actually press record on this, I was thinking about it quickly and thinking, like, what positives can I think of with Lopetegui? Ball retention's improved, is it somewhat? I don't know. Is that a good thing? I don't know. Okay, let's say it is, because that was a criticism under David Moyes. We weren't taking the game to teams, holding the ball more. Okay, I've seen some signs that we hold the ball a bit more. Play a higher line at times, which is a bit more attacking intent. I think at times we've looked okay defensively. I mean, genuinely, right? These are like purely clutching at straws, kind of. Okay. But again, I kind of feel like they're basics of football a little bit, you know, like kind of what I would expect anyway. Like I wouldn't necessarily go, they're really positives, the reasons to keep you. I'm just really at a loss now as to where we're going with Lopetegui. I'm really getting to that stage where I'm getting to that point where now I'm quite sure, and I'm being honest here, I would say 80% sure that Lopetegui won't be our manager come the end of the season or beyond this season. I'm just struggling to see it. I'm really, really struggling. I'm really at a point now where I'm starting to fear for this season, like in a big way. Like I'm not only European football is way gone in my mind now. Like it would be a miracle to even be getting involved in that conversation again. It's almost like 10th or 11th would be like the best we can hope for, the very best this season, which suggests that we're going to be in a relegation battle could well be in a relegation battle this season. That's kind of where we're going here. And people might watch this and say, and I know people say it because I've had it on Twitter saying to me, "Oh, it's only 8 games. That'd be ridiculous. How ridiculous to be like this after 8 matches?" It's nearly quarter way through the season. We got three more goes at that. We're done. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you can't. How long can you use the term? It's still early days. It's still early days. Because we're coming into November now, you know, end of October and November time. And although that I'm not saying right now that I want Lopetegui sacked today. I want him sacked. I want him gone. I'll tell you what, one of the reasons I don't want him sacked and want him gone, because one part of me is also really apprehensive of what we're going to do. What are West Ham going to do? Like, what's the answer then? Because we've still got David Sullivan in charge. And we know what he's like when it comes to appointing managers. We know what he's like. They've got to be available. They've got our Premier League experience. The same bollocks we've had for so long. That's why we got Lopetegui. And we didn't get Amorim. Because of that reason. He won't pay compensation. Someone good keeps saying change the manager. But then I'm more worried about what's left. What's going to happen, you know. But that's not to say I don't want, what I'm saying is I'm not calling for Lopetegui to go, but if he was to go today, I don't think I'd be that disappointed, though, which is quite strange to be saying that at this stage of a season, after a summer of all we've gone through in terms of all these new players arriving and all this big change. Obviously, we've had quite a few years of Moyes, and you wanted this change to happen. The last thing I want is to now be, this stage this early on, and all I'm thinking in my mind, he was going to be here for 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. You don't want it to be a few months into the reign and we're talking about calling it a day, but it's hard, isn't it, to build a case for him to remain at the moment. It's really difficult. My feeling is, and this is just for me personally, right, is the next 3 games before the next international break, which is against Manchester United at home, Nottingham Forest away, and Everton at home. These are 3 fundamental games for me in Lopetegui's time at the club. I think if West Ham are to lose the next 3 games, I imagine that they'll get rid of him. I doubt we would. I'd be very surprised if we lost all 3. It wouldn't surprise me that much, but I doubt we would lose all 3 games. But I would be saying to him now, I want 6 points out of those games. I want a couple of wins now. It'd be maybe 4 at a minimum, a bare minimum. But it's not just about the results, is it? It's not just about the facts. It's not just about the data that's the problem here with Lopetegui and the season so far. It's the bigger picture. It's the lack of fight, the lack of desire, the lack of hunger from these players, the lack of togetherness. I don't see a happy team. I don't see a captain that looks particularly happy. It's Jared Bowen. He's just signed a 7-year bloody contract. Settled down man, a West Ham man, he calls himself now. And he seems really not himself. He don't seem happy. I just don't see any togetherness. I don't see any united front from these players. I don't feel, that connection as well between the head coach and the players. There doesn't feel like there's something there. Do you know what I mean? It feels very disjointed. And then you've got to look at the discipline. The discipline's a big telltale sign of a problem, of an issue from management, is that there's no discipline. Edson Alvarez getting sent off against Chelsea. Okay, that's not out of character for him. That is what he's like. But again, it's a real lack of discipline, which was costly to us. And then you've got Mohamed Kudus, really out of character. That's not what you'd associate with him. Fighting players like that. And, he's heading in towards, certainly a 3-match ban, but probably a 5-match ban. It just shows a real lack of togetherness at this club at the moment, and a real worrying sign that things are just not heading in a good direction here. Yeah, I think now the time has come where the excuses for Lopetegui have run out. You cannot keep leaning on this early days stuff. I'm sick of hearing the players talking about it. New systems, new players. It's early days. I just don't want to keep hearing it, because we've heard that now. Lopetegui's been here for 5 months. It's too long. You can't keep saying that you need more time. And I don't mind. As I said, talking about the performance review thing, it's I don't mind it not being perfect. Just show some signs that there's something going on. For instance, I wouldn't have even minded losing to Spurs, or maybe not by 4-1, but let's just say we lost 2-0, but we played well. And we put some really good moments in the game. You could see what we're trying to do. It's play some lovely attacking football. And you go, okay, we lost, but I can see something's brewing here. I can feel something. There's something there. We just need to get going and for it to click. But I'm not getting any of that. I don't watch West Ham and see anything that makes me go, oh, yeah. I can see what we've been working on the training ground. What have we been working on? It's just not evident. There's no evidence there. There's nothing there to suggest that Lopetegui's getting having his stamp, making his stamp on the team here, and making things as he wants it to be. Well, what is it then? He's been here long enough. He's worked with his players long enough now. He should know these players well enough now to start. This is the guy that's been studying West Ham, apparently, while he was out of work, wanted this job. He knew he was going to be taking this job. It just doesn't feel good. There just isn't. It doesn't feel good at all. There's nothing to be excited about at the moment when you look at West Ham, when you watch West Ham play. There's nothing to be encouraged about. It's all very bleak. And I felt that against Tottenham. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't an all right. Look, I know in my video I sort of did blow up and say it was awful. It was an awful second half performance. The first half wasn't awful, but they were the better team throughout, quite comfortably the better team, and it wasn't a good Tottenham team really. Let's be honest, we weren't that great. We just weren't very good overall. We weren't very good. We had moments we were picking the ball around okay, but the signs are not good at the moment for Lopetegui for me. They're just not good. And the excuses have run out. I'm tired of listening to the guy talk. I don't want to keep hearing. I mean, I don't know about you. Half the time, I feel like he doesn't really answer any questions anyway with these press conferences. I've never find. Obviously, I have to report on these press conferences or for the website and stuff. And I struggle with Lopetegui. Of all the managers I've done, he is the one I've struggled with the most because he just doesn't. He doesn't say anything. It's just like he talks very managerial, bullshit, that kind of wishy-washy terms that don't really mean anything. And it's like no substance behind it. It doesn't mean anything. You just kind of go, all right. And I'm tired of listening to it. I'm just tired of the talking now. And I feel now that this is it. This is his time. There's no more excuse. Your excuses are out. You deliver now. You cannot keep leaning on the fact that you haven't had time. But it's it's running out. He is running out of road, big time. I feel now that the next 3 weeks will be a huge period for him, whether he's going to stay or go as West Ham head coach.